And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you loved it so much that you decided to come back for more. Folks, great decision because we have a lot more for you. We have a fantastic guest today. She's got a list of accomplishments as long as my arm. It may take me the entire podcast just to list everything this incredible lady has done. But that's okay because this is the podcast that's about podcasters. It's for podcasters. It's done by podcasters. This is the place where we come together and lift each other up, folks. And finally, and you guys all know that I mean this when I say it, this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So let's get sailing. Let's introduce our guest today. Please welcome author of 7 books. The most recent international best-selling book is The Gift Inside. We're going to talk about that quite a bit today. Podcaster, 2 podcasts, that's right, Reclaim Your Life and Single Parent Success Stories. Now, as if that wasn't enough, this lady is also a neuro-linguistic programming trainer. She is a coach and a master coach of hypnotherapy. Folks, I mean, seriously, I could go on and on. Let me introduce to you today, though, Irina Shehovsov. Did I get it right again?
You got it right.
Oh, I love it. All right, good, good, good. Irina, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Rory, for having me. I'm doing great.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Irina, I tell you what, we have so much to go over in terms of what you've done, what you've accomplished. It's absolutely amazing. Before we do that, I tell you what, tell everybody, who is Irina Shehovsov? What are you about? What brings you here today?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. Who I am? I'm a transformational coach, best-selling author, and I live by 3 things: live, dream, and grow. That's what Reclaim Your Life is all about. And it's about creating sustainable habits in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual states of being that allow us to thrive because there are so many habits. And if habits don't work, we must change the habits. And I believe once you have the foundational ones, then you can ready to explore your dream. That's the second component of Reclaim Your Life. And dream is no matter how old you still have a 5-year-old inside of you ready to come out and play. The dream is only was given to you and not anybody else. And it's only up to you to chase the dream. And growing is continuous evolution and growth that allow us to learn about the world in general and allow us to thrive. Um, I am a podcast host for 2 podcasts, like you mentioned. And when podcast started, I had no idea about how to do a podcast. I simply was inspired. That's how a single parent success story started. I was at the time attending a mastermind with Brandon Bouchard, and a fellow masterminder was doing a series of interviews with entrepreneurs. And I said, what a great idea. I want to speak to single parents who've been there, done that, just to share their stories. And my first few guests were masterminders from that mastermind, and they believed in my crazy idea. So we started doing the podcast. This was back in 2020. So we're in our 5th year. How did everything started? What was my catalyst to kind of dive into that area? I became a single parent to a newborn and a 5-year-old. I think it was already more than 10 and a half years ago. And I was living in the broken state of being. I was waiting for somebody to come rescue me. I was waiting for somebody to lift me off my troubles. But of course, nobody came. And so I decided to rescue myself. I decided that I didn't come here to suffer, that there is much better life out here. And I didn't know how or when or what. But one fateful morning, I was standing on a platform of the train, missing my train by mere seconds. And I started sobbing and crying and asking myself this question: do we just come here to suffer? What's the point of living anyway? And I decided I could no longer live like that. I gotta take a different route. So that was my breaking point from which I decided to pursue the journey of personal development and growth.
Wow. When you say you came here, I assume you mean this country.
Well, to doing the work I'm doing now. And yeah, originally, yes, I am from another country, former Soviet Union. It's called Uzbekistan. It's near Turkey. And it's going to be 30 years that I've been here. Coming in October, it will be 30 years. And I do still have an accent. but I don't really care about it. I think accents make us beautiful. It adds the spice to this life, and we all bring our own unique voices.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So I wasn't sure if it was Russian or not, so I wasn't going to go there, but I figured I'd just ask and
Yes.
see. So when you say did we just come here to suffer? You mean come here to this particular training, this discipline, this education that you've gone through? Is that what you mean?
No, come here. I mean to planet Earth
Oh, you just mean in this existence at all.
in
I
this existence.
gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. All right. So you're sitting there, you've got a couple kids, you're picking yourself up. First of all, congratulations to you because that's just not easy at all. I think a lot of people hear a story like that and they just sort of it goes in one ear out the other and they go, yeah, yeah, whatever. They don't really get how hard that is. So congratulations. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I was raised by a single mother, so I have a lot of understanding of that kind of thing. Um, so I love that. As you are rebuilding yourself and picking yourself back up and saying, okay, it's time to, fix this. Um, what comes first? How do you get into this entire area that you're in?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, it was physical health, and it was a simple walk. I opened the door and I stepped over the threshold and took my first step. I always wanted to walk, but for some reason didn't do it. So that was my journey back to self with simple walks, morning walks, 30 minutes a day. And during those walks, I used to do like Tony Robbins calls the power hour. I used to imagine what my life would be, kind of life I wanted to create for myself, for my kids. And one of the things was becoming an author. I wanted to write books back then, even. And so that dream took me 8 years to come to realize, and I even completely forgotten about it. But during those first hour of the day, because we have the best idea when we wake up, our mind is so plausible. We are in alpha state, alpha brain waves, which is so suggestible. So in the morning is the best time to prime your mind for how you want to start your day. What kind of ideas do you want to create for yourself? And
Hmm.
so one of them was becoming an author that I wanted to do. Another one, I want to sing on stages for thousands of people. That was another dream. And there were many others, and I'm in pursuit. So first dream of writing has been accomplished. Now second dream is singing. So I'm on the pursuit of that dream. But after
Wow.
with physical health, with walking, then came nutrition. Because what you put in your mouth, garbage in, garbage out. And again, I didn't want to lose weight. I was simply wanted to take better care of myself, and I turned vegetarian. I'm not vegetarian any longer, but at that moment of time, I started doing that for myself, and I lost 10 pounds, which was not intentional. And I got great energy, and I started to become more adventurous in the kitchen. And then after that exercise, I joined Toastmasters, which allowed me to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then I got a voice coach and I started to learn how to sing, which allowed me to sing what I couldn't speak. So for me, therapy didn't work. How people suggest, oh, go to a psychologist. Well, I could never understand how a guy who has a complete family could ever understand what I'm going through, considering his idea was, oh, since you don't drive a Mercedes and you don't have like Gucci bags, like what, it's gonna be easy, like I would just start over. That was his kind of idea, like what are we worried about? So I could never understand how you can understand me. Yes, you went to school, you studied, you did your PhD and whatever, but have you ever lived a life of a single parent? Have you ever dealt with emotional baggage and all those things that, you're qualified to give this kind of advice? So I felt more broken after I went to see the psychologist than after I was leaving. So for me, it didn't work. And I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying in my case, it didn't work out. For me, Toastmasters and singing was so much better because when I was singing, I was using the other part of my brain, not just the analytical one. I also have a background, 20 years in corporate, doing mortgage analytics and things like that. So it was very analytical type of work. And when I was singing, I was engaging my creative side. And that was the best medicine for the soul. When I was singing, I felt good inside. And of course, when I started, I sucked. I think we all do when we start to do something new. But the more you do it, the better you become.
When you started, you sucked. Okay. Well, I mean, at least you're honest about it. So, I didn't know you were a singer. That wasn't part of the entire bio that I had on you. My goodness. So we're
Well, I'm
finding out
not a
even more.
professional.
You're not professional yet? Okay. I love that. I think that's fantastic. I also, I get what you're saying. You're engaging the different parts of your brain. And then the benefit to that, obviously, is that it what stimulates new creative thought to help get you down the
Yes.
path of being an author in your education.
Yeah, and it's better when your both hemispheres are connected, when you're engaging both and you're not just doing one type of thing all the time.
Hmm.
When you're, I believe we are wholesome beings. We operate in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual at all times. Like right now, you are talking to me, but meanwhile, your body is processing things. It's processing thoughts and ideas, and all so many processes are happening, and we always operate everywhere at all times. But we only focus on one thing right now. We are just talking, but there are so many things that are happening, and we are present. And I believe when you intertwine, when you do the practices in different states, it sustains your whole being in having the best kind of life experience here on planet Earth.
Okay, now I've got to know, where did you learn all of this that you've been telling me for the last couple of minutes? Because that doesn't just pop into your brain like naturally on accident, right?
Yes, I think that came from NLP, neuro linguistic programming, which is, in a nutshell, a map for your brain, how to operate your brain.
So you studied this, and this is something that did you get a degree in this type of thing, or was it practical application? How did you learn all this?
Yes, so I decided to heal people from inside out when I went through my whole experience. And one of the practices is called neurolinguistic programming, and you can study it. It's not in college or anything, but it's given by practitioners.
Hmm,
There is a whole institute of neurolinguistic programming, and they have trainers who execute the trainings, who help people learn about this type of thing. And it is incredible. I think it should be taught in schools. It would
really?
allow kids to have better control of their mind, a better understanding of the world, because it's in the simplest terms, it teaches you how to think, not what to think, but how to think. We all have a way, like how we buy something, we have a strategy. We have a way of how we deal with certain situations, and your way may be different from another way. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, it's just how we understand how world works. We all have certain sets of beliefs and programs and filters through how we see the world, how we see each other. Sometimes it's the perception. So let's say we are having a conversation, and then if you go talk to a friend, you're gonna have one idea of that conversation. I might have totally different from where I'm sitting and from based on my personal experiences and based on my idea of the world, what I consider to be the world for me.
Hmm.
And again, it's not to say one is wrong, the other is better. It's just individual. And it's been
Wow.
incredible for me personally. I originally wanted to go and heal my inner child. That's why I started this whole program.
Mhm.
I was curious, and I'm continuous learner. Learning is one of my, I don't know, core principles, if you want to call it. And it's been an incredible journey of learning since, I think, 2017 or 2018. And it didn't just kind of start there. It started, I don't know if you heard of Mind Valley.
Mind
It's
Valley.
Mind Valley. It's a
Hmm.
educational company. It's an application actually on your phone,
Oh,
but
okay.
they teach different personal development programs about mindset, about physical health, emotional health, and things like that. So my journey started with attending Mind Valley courses, listening to podcasts, listening like Tony Robbins, reading books, and Mel Robbins was my other beginning mentor, I would say. And then it kind of led into that after kind of that got satisfied. And then I got inspired when I was in September 2019, I got inspired by Evan Carmichael, who said there is not enough belief in this world today and you should help somebody who is a step behind you. This was during a mastermind or summit event in Phoenix, Arizona. And that's kind of everything got started from that point on with me learning neuro-linguistic programming, with me starting the podcast and all these other things.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha. So, my goodness, that's so much. I mean, the NLP is fascinating to me, and I've just heard more about it in the last 5 minutes, I think, than I have ever in my whole life. So that's kind of amazing. I love that you said it teaches you how to think because that doesn't seem to be taught at all anymore. My wife and I used to kid around about how our kids couldn't actually solve a story problem because they totally took all that out of school. They don't even have that where you have to like just figure things out as you go and just use basic logic anymore. So you're doing this with the NLP. How do you get into becoming a master coach of hypnotherapy? Is that related to the NLP? It seems like there's a connection there.
Yes. So first, with NLP, as you might guess, it kind of opens up your mind for other things. So
Sure.
as part of the program, hypnotherapy was part of that package that I was learning. So it came innately there. And hypnotherapy is nothing more. It's all about self-hypnosis. So it's not like somebody's hypnotizing you to do something evil. It's only if it agrees with you. So for example, if I am having a session and I'll tell you like, go take a deep breath and relax. And then all of a sudden I'm going to tell you, go stand in the corner, turn yourself upside down and walk backwards. Would you do it? You probably say like, what? What's happening? So if it disagrees with your internal thing, I cannot make you do anything you don't want to do. It has to, all hypnosis and self-hypnosis, but as we've seen on the shows and popular media, we always think, oh, we're going to be like hypnotized into something we don't want to do. But in reality, it's nothing further from the truth.
Yeah, you're not standing on one leg barking like a dog or, anything like that, huh? None of the stuff you see in the TV shows. Okay, gotcha. So how do you use I mean you're a coach, you've got a course, you've written 7 books, you've got podcasts. How are you using the NLP and the hypnosis and that type of thing in your healing coursework with people?
Well, I guess everything NLP comes in unwinding and how we understand the world. And you realize, you check, you see where the people are and what they need, and then you adjust accordingly. And there are certain cool techniques that I learned through NLP. One is like I call it power button, but it's you know how we store files on the computer?
Hmm.
We have media, video, voice, audio, and so on. Well, our body can be used as a file cabinet, as a system. And we can use a point on our body, for example, a knuckle, and we can record our emotions into that knuckle and have this on demand. Like I call the positive power button. So it's installing positive emotions in your knuckle and storing it on your body. Just like, because emotions they don't disappear. Or the negatives get stored as well if we don't release them. And the positives we can set intentionally into the knuckle, for example. And then let's say you're having a bad day, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you can wake up, press your button, and feel amazing in an instant.
Hmm. Wow.
And then there are many more kind of little things like that.
My goodness. Okay. Um, I think we could probably get lost down that rabbit hole right there for hours. So I'm going to leave it at I'm fascinated by all this. and you have a million other things I want to talk to you about. So just let's move on just a little bit. Wow, that stuff is just amazing. You've got 7 books that you wrote.
Yes,
So you
yes,
came out of this situation you were in, being a single parent, with a 5-year-old and a newborn, and you said, "I want to become an author," and you did. So the first one that you published was which book?
was called Sacred Surrender, and it was back in April of 22. And funny story how that happened. I had a single parent who came on the podcast, former single parent, and she is a publisher. She invited me to be a part of her book, and so I submitted my story, and that's how the first book came to be.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that came from your podcast.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guess I was under the impression the podcast was after, but you had how long have you had the podcast
Podcast
going?
podcast was first. It was back in recorded in January 2020, and then I didn't know how to do video editing, so I was sitting on this content, and I said, "Why am I sitting on it? I have so much material. Let me just release it." So in March of 2020, I released the audio version of the podcast, and we are year number 5.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome. How many episodes have you put out?
221. I wasn't heckled. There was some gaps when I started. And
Okay.
then since 2021, we've been consistent.
5 years and 200 plus episodes. You don't have to apologize for anything here. That's that's amazing. So congratulations on where your
Thank you.
podcast is.
Thank
And that's great. So what made you start the podcast then?
Again, I got inspired by a fellow masterminder who was doing series of interviews with entrepreneurs. And I said, what a great idea. I want to speak to single parents who've been
Ah,
there, done it, because I didn't consider myself an expert. And I wanted to see a positive side of this because single parenting is so stigmatized. It's always has this bad connotation. So I wanted to see what are the success stories. And success I'm not does not necessarily mean somebody is having a business. It means they are happy with how their life turned out, how their kids' life turned out, and now they can share their wisdom, their challenges, things they have overcome, and what were the things that helped them thrive, that helped them realize a better life. And I also speak to experts to help navigate the post-divorce journey on the podcast as well. So once you're in that, because you don't learn how to do life. So I wanted to bring that resource. And I also speak to children, older children who grew up in a single parent home. So would love to have you on the podcast if you want to share your story, to share the challenges, the things that work and things that didn't work. So that's why the single parent success story started. The whole idea is to bring back hope to single parents that everything is possible, give them the tools and resources. And we've done 2 books on the podcast as well. I invited my fellow guests for single parents, and we did Soul Parent Volume 1 and Soul Parent Volume 2. People shared their stories in the book as well.
nice. All right. Well, that takes care of 3 of the books that you've written so far. So we're working our way forward. I am curious, when did the Reclaim Your Life podcast come into play?
That came in 2023, August of 23. And
Okay.
the idea behind it is, again, to give hope to people who feel that their life is lost. All hope is lost. And I want to say nothing is further from the truth. By speaking to people who had a wake-up call that suddenly changed the trajectory of their life for the better, when they realized, however, they were living wasn't working and they wanted to change, whether they had a near-death experience or they decided suddenly to lose weight or do something for themselves to change, to come out of it, and what were the tools that they use. In addition, on the podcast, I also share my tools, how to create habits and physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual little things, inconsequential things that we take for granted often. So little tools like that I'm sharing on the podcast as well.
Nice. Very nice. It's a great mission that you're on. So I absolutely love that. So we've got 2 podcasts going. We've got 3 books out. And I know one of them just came out. We're going to talk about that in a sec. We're leading up to that, but there's 3 more that are kind of missing here. So tell me about those other 3. Where'd they come from? What are those about?
Yes. So second book in the series was Revolutionary Leaders. That one came out in July of 22. And this is how you lead through change. So I again submitted my story. It was the same publisher. Story of reclaiming life and leading through challenges and difficulties. And then I call it Soul Parent Volume 1, Soul Part Volume 2. Another one was I did, it's called Total Health for Extraordinary Living. And that one I did with Mind Valley coaches. And I shared a simple habit. It was a book about habits and routines. So I shared about 10 minutes of joy, how we gotta flex a muscle, because I don't consider health if you don't have happiness in the mix. And just like you want to have a good oral health, you brush your teeth every day. What if you want to be happy, what if you practice 10 minutes of joy every day? Do something that sets your soul on fire. So I shared a little bit about that. And then what else? Then there was the soul parent number 2. And then the gift inside was number 6.
Ah,
And
okay.
number seven was it's blue talks, business life and universe, and I talk about happiness, and this one came out actually last month in May. And again, I was just doing a chapter, and my chapter was on creating a happiness blueprint.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. I mean, wow. I'm going to have to get better at my research. I'm feeling really embarrassed right now because I thought the most recent one was The Gift Inside. You've got one after that.
But the gift inside is my solo work
That's your
finally.
solo work. Gotcha.
All the other ones were just chapters.
Got it. Got it. Got it. My goodness. I mean, you've been seriously active with all of this. So, all right, that's beautiful. Now, The Gift Inside, that's your solo work. Um, Tell me, like, where did that particular book come from within you, and what's the purpose of that book?
Yes. So I think that book was 10 years in the making, in me first practicing the disciplines that I am sharing in the book about. And again, for creating sustainable habits in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual states, summarizing those things, how to practice them, why would you want to practice them. And then I started writing the book in September of 2020. I was when I was still part of Brandon Bouchard Mastermind. And finally, when I was in the mastermind, I felt like I wasn't crazy because there were other people doing amazing things. And I got inspired to start writing. So I would go out on the beach. I live about 20 minutes from the beach in the morning, 7 a.m. And I would start writing the book. It was just pen to paper, simply sharing. Um, and then kind of formulating it into these habits, that little habits that allow us to thrive. And so the whole book is segregated into 4 sections. One is physical, some emotional, mental, spiritual, and each section has 3 chapters, 3 little habits that we can implement that allow us to thrive.
Nice. And no, that's the book that I looked into the most. This is more than just ideas that you've put out there. This is a step-by-step guide type
Yes,
of book, right? It's got,
yes, yes,
actionable steps to take.
that's
You want
right.
to give us an example of what one of those steps might be on any one of those topics? Don't give away the secret sauce because people need to buy the book. I mean, but any sort of example on what a step might be like.
Definitely, yes. I believe a great day starts with a great morning routine. So that's the first chapter of the physical section of the health. And I always say it's not when you start your day, it is how you start your day. What kind of mindset goes into creating a perfect recipe. We all have a recipe for, let's say, how you like your coffee. You know what to put in there. Just like that, just like creating a perfect cup of coffee, we can create a perfect kind of day. Of course, things will happen during your day, but in the morning, kind of you set the foundation of how you want your day to be. So a simple practice could be practicing gratitude the first thing as you wake up, as soon as your feet hit the floor, saying 3 things you're grateful for, and they don't have to be amazing or great. The fact that you woke up today, the fact that you can breathe, the fact that you have roof over your head, that's it, you're already done. And a mind is such a fascinating being, always wants to please us. You suddenly might find more things that are working in your life, not just those 3. and then taking yourself out on a walk.
Hmm.
I'm sharing the things that I personally have experienced and that have helped me, hoping with the whole idea for the book again is to give hope to people who want to be happy again. And the full title of the book is called The Gift Inside: 12 Steps to Heal Unworthiness, Brokenness, and Victim Mentality so that you can find your happy. That's the full title of the book. And I'm sharing little things that you can do if you practice them on a
My goodness.
daily basis, hoping that it could be a page in someone else's survival guide. Because when I started on my journey, I didn't have a guide. I was a single. Everybody was married around me, and I was discovering what the new normal is. I didn't know, because you look at the outside world and you say, okay, this looks normal. These people appear happy and they have a full family. And when you are a single parent, you're trying to define what that normal is. And what I've discovered through my journey is that I get to define my normal. I don't have to copy anybody else. I get to define what works for me. I'm not saying my way is right way. We all have gazillion of ways, but I don't have to be copying anybody else. I don't have to seek externally to be happy, because we all have a gift inside of us. We all have that innate ability, and our job is to share that gift, find out what it is, and then share it with the world. And the whole idea, again, that happiness is not outside of ourselves, that we can create, just like electric plant generates electricity, we can generate happiness from within.
That's absolutely beautiful. I love that. Okay, perfect. So if I follow your book, and I get up, every day and I do these things and I take these steps, am I actually participating in neuro-linguistic programming of my own mind by doing this?
There are certain things, yes, that I share that help. It's not everything. It's watered down version, not very specific.
Okay. All right. I'm just
Because it's more than that. Because there are other practices that I share. Like one of the chapters is called hobbies. I don't think it came from NLP. I think it was my own thing that I
all right.
discovered along the way. I believe through hobbies we discover a little bit of who we are. Because for myself, what happened with me, I lost my identity. I was someone else's wife, I was someone else's spouse, but I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked, what I disliked. Because when you live with somebody for a long time, you kind of start melding and meshing with the other person, and sometimes you can lose yourself if you don't have that strong core of this is who you are, these are my things, these are the things that I do. You start doing things together all the time, and then if you don't do anything for yourself, you lose that core identity, that core principle. And so for me, hobbies allowed me to discover more dimensions to living. So I started doing Toastmasters, I started singing, I started dancing Argentine tango, I started painting again. And all those things allow you to be more connected, because when we feel, have you ever experienced that state of flow?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm guessing. I'm not a very
State of
peaceful guy, so probably not.
okay, state of flow is something that when you immerse in something so deeply that you don't even notice your time passing you by. You're doing
Hmm.
something and time just disappears, and then you look up, it's like, oh wow, it's like 3 hours have passed. And that's what is called when you experience the state of flow. And when we
Uh,
do hobbies, when we do things that we are very passionate about, we can experience that state. And that allows to open up for so much creativity. And you're gonna come alive. Your life is
yes.
not gonna be just gray and muted all the time. You will see different colors. You would get more out of life, because you'll be fascinated, you learning and exploring and doing amazing things. Like you have 3 podcasts. I'm sure if you didn't love podcasting, you wouldn't be doing all this.
You're right. You're right. And that was what I was just thinking was, the only time other than hanging out with my kids, when the time just goes bang and it's gone, I think podcasting is the only time where I look up and I'm like, wow, where did that hour go? Holy cow. It's just, poof. So that's probably the only time that I get in that quote, flow that you're talking about. So I guess I have been in it, but it's pretty much just either my kids or podcasting. So you're right on. Oh,
So
wow.
that's it, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, now let me get back on the topic here, because I'm just fascinated with all the stuff you're doing. I absolutely have to get your book, so I'm gonna order that as soon as we get done with this recording today. Um, and since I brought that up, let's just stop for a minute. How do people get your books, your course, which we're going to talk about right now, everything else? Do you have a website, something like that, or do they go to Amazon? What's the best way to get all this stuff?
Yes, I have a website, irinashehovsov.com.
Okay.
And all my books are, it's Irina Shehovsov /books. Or if you go to Amazon, you can find all the books under my name. If you type my name in, you'll find the books.
Okay, awesome. All that stuff's going to be in the show notes for sure, just so everybody has that. I want to make sure we give everybody a chance to go find all these things. So, like I said, we're going to talk about the course for a second. The course goes along with the Gift Inside book, right? Okay, so tell us about the course that you've put together.
Yeah, the course is following the book, same kind of habits that I'm sharing in the video format. So
Oh, okay.
physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual states of being. How to practice that? Why would you want to practice them? And implementing that into your day-to-day life. And maybe, I call it in the beginning, maybe too much, but picking something and sticking with it, just like creating a habit. There is a great book on habits. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah,
And how do you build a habit? You pick, and then another one is it takes 66 days to create a habit. First 21 days to undo the old one, implement the new one for another 21, and then cement it for another 21, and then it becomes your thing. So how do we do that? How do we practice habits? Just like you brushed your teeth in the morning, you probably don't even think about it. You just take a brush and you do it, and you probably do it with the same hand every day. You don't switch your hands. So just like that, when we installing those habits, we gotta create that kind of consistency, because habits are great if you do them consistently. If you miss, they recommend not missing more than once, because if you miss 2 times, it's like you have not done it at all before, and it's so much more difficult to get back into it. I
Mhm.
noticed myself, because I'm not perfect. I fell off my morning routine, and then when I was getting back on it, it took a while. and
Mm.
now and now I'm there again. I'm there again when I'm just doing it without thinking. I'm just getting up, I'm going for my walk, I coming back, I meditate. And then when you take care of yourself, when you do those things for yourself, you suddenly want to take care of yourself better. So you eat better, you exercise better, when you took the time to take care of you, to put the
Wow.
things back into you, to because we are worth it. And oftentimes we always take care of others and we forget about ourselves. That's the whole kind of premise of courses and the book, is taking care of yourself, doing the things that you need to do. Just like, hey, call it your phone. If you don't charge your phone, it's not gonna work. It's gonna run out of power.
Yep.
We gotta plug it in. We are not Energizer Bunny. We gotta plug ourselves in. We gotta do those little tiny things. Gratitude is a tiny thing. We always take for granted things that are in our life, and suddenly when we lose them, we start, oh, it was great, I had it. Well, why didn't you not appreciate when you had it? In my personal case, I dislocated my knee. It was 4 years ago. And there hasn't not been a day that has gone by that I didn't thank my knees for working. I'm totally safe and fine now. But every day when I walk, I say, thank you, my knees, for working. It
Mm.
might sound silly, but it is something that, again, our magnificent body is doing, and we take for granted. So I'm not taking for granted working anymore.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Once you lose that ability, you appreciate it more for sure. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Well, again, I could talk to you about this forever. I've got to get in my one question here about your podcasts, which I think are spectacular. Um, and it's kind of my, standard question here. So if you ready for it, I mean, this is big. This is huge. Okay. All right. In terms of your podcasting, in which you are very accomplished, you've been doing it 5 years, over 200 episodes. What is it about podcasting that you love the most? And what is it about podcasting that you just can't stand, would love to throw out the window, hate the most?
Okay. I love the most connecting with people. I think podcast is this great medium that I would not have met with people I would have I not had it. So it's been an incredible experience of connecting from people all across the world, from all walks of life, sharing their life stories. I think that's the most fascinating aspect of the podcast is connecting, is sharing stories, because even before written word, people were connecting through one another, through stories, through storytelling, through sharing their experiences, their life. And it's incredible, that aspect of podcasting, I think. And one thing I hate, I guess, when people, sign up for your podcast, they go through the trouble of filling out your form and then they disappear. They don't come. They invested the time, but then they don't show up. So I'm wondering what happened. Did you fall off the earth? Have a courtesy to at least say, sorry, it's not working out. I want to be back, but then they just disappear on you.
That's a good one. I like that one. All right, good deal. Good deal. I don't hear that one that often, but yeah, you're right. That's rough. That kind of makes you want to throw something out a window. All right, beautiful. My goodness, Irina, you've done so much, and not only with yourself, but to help other people who are going through what you've been through. This entire process and your entire journey is incredibly amazing. As we kind of wrap things up here, the question I usually like to end with is, what is your best piece of advice for podcasters that are out there who, obviously really want to help people too with what their projects are? But what's your best piece of advice for folks who are not quite where you are yet in the podcasting world?
Just start. Don't overanalyze. Don't think you have to be perfect. Because how they say, the best time to plant a tree was today or yesterday, and the best next time was now. So don't overanalyze. And your first podcast, like they say, they have a good Russian proverb: first pancake comes out bad. So your first podcast might come out bad. You might not know what you're doing. And you learn as you go along the way. When I started, I didn't know how to do video editing. And that was my kryptonite. I was sitting on it. I wanted to be perfect because I saw other people are doing amazing things. What am I going to put this shitty type of product? If I'm doing something, I'm going to make the best possible thing. But then we get into this perfectionist mindset, and that could keep us stuck. So my advice is to just start. See where it takes you. Give yourself 10 episodes. I know they say a lot of people start and then they fall off the wagon because it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's easy and fun. Yes, it is fun if you love talking, if you like conversations, but other than that, there is also a lot of administration and management. And I love what Podmatch has created. It's making job of podcasting so much simpler and easier, that everything is stored in one place. But outside of that, there is also editing. There is also creating marketing materials. And I love creating marketing materials because I love creating stuff. I could spend hours on Canva. I got to pull myself out of there. But yeah, my best advice, just start. Don't overanalyze. If you have the great idea, because imagine, why do we make cemetery the richest place on earth where ideas go to die? What if it didn't have to be? What if you have something that could help others? And yes, maybe it's not perfect, but at least if you are starting, if you're willing to give it a try, see where it takes you. Because the greatest regret of people who are old is things they have not tried, not the things that they have done. So imagine when you are on your deathbed, what are the things you want to remember? What kind of life have you created? Do you want to be the one, oh, I should have started that podcast? But now you never know because it's too late. So
Yeah.
start your podcast.
I love it. That's fantastic advice. My goodness, you're just incredible. You've done so many things. You've got so much going on. Your podcasts are great. And Irina, I just thank you so much for coming on today, for telling everybody about yourself, about your mission, all of these wonderful projects, and for just sharing about who you are. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Uh, Folks, this has been another absolutely amazing episode of the Podcaster Nation. Go get this book. Go check this stuff out. Look at her course. This is just absolutely spectacular. I'm fascinated with NLP, clearly, because I keep asking questions about it. But I'm going to have to figure out some more about this. Anyway, as we move forward, thank you to Irina for coming on today. This has been amazing. This is the podcast, folks, that is about podcasters. It's for podcasters and it's done by podcasters. This really is the place, and we showed it again today, where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.